All I'm saying is that our heritage is not heritage without our history, without our values, without our culture, and it's not. Heritage is very rich, and that is why heritage should move away, or those spots that we regard as heritage, more than being named on names, let them be named on what made that history or that heritage.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Social Life. I'm your host Kilebogile Sokhona, and with me today talking all things heritage. And I am quite excited to be in the presence of the great Dr. Seth Mazibuko. Thank you for honoring the invite.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a great time, and I like your concept of social people together. It's a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and greetings to all South Africans and those watching the program.
Thank you. Please start us off just introducing yourself, Jorge, and that is Seth Mazibuko, for those who do not know.
Do you have the whole day? Then we must start there, because it has been a very complicated life. Yeah. Age 16, got arrested. Yeah. And very tender age of 16, went to Robben Island, leader of the student uprisings of 1976, and even the youngest in the action committee that planned and led 1976 student uprisings, and then got detained under the laws, under the act that was called Section 6 of the Terrorism Act of 1966. I'm not a curriculum vitae. I'm actually curriculum as in a grade in a school that takes the whole year.
Syllabus.
But the whole syllabus, I must assure you. But let me just mention a few things. Yeah. Yes, I was born in Soweto, grew up in Soweto, but part of my growth has been very much attached to my family in KZN and Ngumqulusi nesiZulu, and we're escort. And asiqale lapho nje qala noma sesikhuluma ke heritage uqulusa, it's when women show their bodies, private bodies, and when that happens in the African context, it says the woman that does that, it says enough is enough. And if you're a man, you drop whatever you do, even if it's a war. And if a woman does that, that means it's worse when it is done by your mother or someone senior. And so I come from Ebaqulusini, and we it's part of the Dragon's Back. It's part of Escort, and I love that part of the world, and it forms part of my history and heritage. But having said that, then I came. Then of course in Soweto. I'm born in Orlando East. And Orlando East again is turning 90. That's another history and heritage. And by the way, ni Buccaneer. Yes. So that's another history and heritage.
From Orlando.
That's another history and heritage. Buccaneer turning 85. Wow. So it's an ideal time for you to ask me about history and heritage. But I grew up, as I say, in Orlando East. And I schooled in Orlando East and Orlando West. I got arrested in 1976 as one of the student leaders of 1976. I was elected, and being the youngest student to be elected in the student body that planned and led June 16, 1976. And the body was called the Action Committee, which was elected at DOCCYMCA, and that is in Orlando East again. And the very first student representative, democratically elected student body was the Action Committee. Then that Action Committee later became the Soweto Student Representative Council, SSRC. Head was still Action Committee. The head was Tsietsi Mashinini. I was his deputy.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and then there was a Smongile Kabela,
Yes.
and there was Mefi Morobe. And yes, it's a history in itself.
That is history.
We need another time for that. And of course, then I got arrested and kept under a law that time under apartheid that was terrible, called Section 6 of the Terrorism Act of 1966, which allowed the police to keep you in detention without trial for 18 months, and keep you in solitary confinement. And they'll keep you there for 18 months whilst torturing you and trying to extract information from you. And it was a terrible experience.
Can you imagine?
What do I stop? I studied, by the way, and when I was in Robben Island, I was privileged to be really welcomed by big names.
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela, Toivio from what was then called Northwest, was this Namibia now, and one of the SWAPO leaders. And I was also privileged that was driven down to Robben Island. I was actually shackled with the Lion of Azania. The Lion of Azania is Seth Mazibuko, who was one of the presidents of the Pan-Africanist Congress.
Wow.
Can you pay my fees?
As you said,
That's
that's a curriculum.
telling you. And it's not a 32.9%
No,
pass.
no.
Here you need a 60% pass.
That's true. For the next few weeks, Social is running a competition where you stand a chance to win yourself a voucher worth 750 Rand from House of Vault. All you have to do is watch our show. Towards the end of every show, a simple question will be asked where you stand a chance to win from House of Vault a voucher worth 750 Rand. The first correct comment on our Facebook page or YouTube channel wins themselves a voucher worth 750 Rand from House of Vault. Good luck.
Okay, let's talk.
Going back to today's topic,
Yes.
heritage.
Yes.
What does heritage mean to you?
Look, I'm very strong in this that heritage, I'm a history person, but history should inform heritage. There should be values, culture, language embedded and protected and promoted by heritage. Immediately when there isn't some form of acknowledgement of the victories and the defeats, there must be, heritage should not be diluted. And immediately when you dilute history, then you dilute the heritage. Because then people in that culture, they tend to misrepresent the values that are supposed to inform their heritage. And then when you misrepresent history, then you are misrepresenting even the chronology of events that inform the history, then at the end of the day misrepresents the heritage of the people. And maybe as we go on, I'll try to lift up some of these misrepresentation that we see in our heritage today. By the way, let me be quick and right from the beginning. I am not, when is the date, Heritage Day?
24th
I'm not.
September. Okay.
Don't come to my house dressed like that and say Heritage Day, because I'm going to sit down and ask the question of ask me, what is Heritage Day and what does it mean?
Yes.
What do we do on the day?
Yes.
Boerewors. And are you aware what is the history of that boerewors on the day? I don't know. Does it go to our food? Why can't I eat malamogodu? Why can't I eat? But that's not only that. Is heritage about our food? Yes. But what is the center of our heritage? Yes. It is our history. It is our values, okay, that we hold dear, okay? And what happened on that day? Yes. That day was actually in the olden days, now what I'm very angry about, it is that under apartheid,
Yes.
that day was not called Heritage Day. we actually commemorated that day as Sandra. And it was when actually there were victories of African people beating the British.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, under democracy, when our own government is in power, we change that. And we call it, and people ridicule it, by the way, because even the very concept of Boulevard's Day, it didn't come from the black people.
Yeah.
It is when now Afrikaners wanted to undermine the day. You know, I had a privilege of having to go to, I was invited actually to where Impia Sandlane was, and where the Blood River and all that is. Can you believe it that Thabo Mbeki, the former president of the country, actually established a museum that was connecting, actually there's a bridge that runs across, that was connecting what would become more of your African area and your African area. It was connecting the two. Can I tell you? Afrikaners locked the gate in the bridge from their side to the African side. Where's reconciliation? What are we saying about this? This Shaga's Day. What do we do in Shaga's Day? Reconciliating Day, call it. And there are all these 21st of March.
Yeah.
I take this with pain and hurt to think of it that now the history of that day and the heritage that is supposed to be around that day has been diluted and even diminished. And let me assure you, 21st of March, it is under apartheid again.
Yeah.
We called it Sharpeville Day. We called it Heroes Day.
Yeah.
And what do we call it now? Human Rights Day. Hello? Now, all I am saying is that it's like in a home, you know. NguMazibuko, nguMolasa, nguNzima, nguPutin, nguMgabha ngamafu, nguye Mangweni. No, that's me. I'll tell you, that's me. How do I do that on the 21st of March and say the history of this day happened June 16, I'm a June 16 product. And can I tell you, what do we do in June 16? You drink, you guys, you wear school uniform,
Yes.
and then even and go to drink, and then from there tell your children to do the same. And then on the 17th, you tell the very child that now please don't dress in school uniform and go to school. Hallelujah. What's that? And those are some of the things that says to me, we have lost it on not only the history, but also on the heritage, how we respect that day. And it is because we have lost it out on our...
Do you think, do you think heritage itself, you know, we've evolved, you know, society has evolved, you know. Do you think that has been the same with how we celebrate Heritage Day? Or rather, what would you like to see us do on Heritage Day?
Can I tell you, there's something very interesting. Afrikaners, as we speak, call it of evolving.
Yes.
They're still fighting for their languages, for their language. They even have put money aside to build their own university to protect the heritage and promote the heritage. Because you guys who are black are diluting the heritage.
Yeah.
What are we doing? We, instead, you know, I was talking to one academic who was saying to me, do you know that we spend money, he even called sanitizers doom. We spend money on doom and even steal from doom. Yeah. And whilst Afrikaners will contribute the same to protect their heritage.
Yeah.
The same amount that disappeared in Gauteng is the amount that Afrikaners put together
And
to
promote.
protect and promote their heritage. We are under black government. I want to call it black government, I know it's mixed, but
Yes.
black government. It is the same government that is saying, remove. Heritage is informed more, I told you, by history.
Yes.
It's the same government that will say to you, there's only one page in the grade 11 class about June 16. I asked children the other day, Do you know Hector Peterson? Sarafina.
Yes, true.
I mean, can really Hector Peterson be Sarafina?
Yeah.
Hastings Clough is one of the first victims that died on June 16. That history is disappearing, and history is supposed to inform our heritage. Robert Sobuk. Other people do not even know him.
Yes.
Steve Biko, we only know him because in September and October we are getting to what? We're having to talk about him. And again, whoa. Here's another one where we're messing it up. You know, even when we remember our heritage and our history, we fall into a trap of the renaming of streets, which is supposed to be heritage. We go name of a person, not name of a historical event that then protects the heritage. Potchefstroom Road, what is it called now? Chrisani.
Yeah.
Baragwanath. Who is Baragwanath? And the Baragwanath that we married to Chrisani, because it's called Baragwanath. I mean, Chrisani Baragwanath. Now, it sounds like a person with a double barrel surname. Now, Chrisani has since become Hani Baragwanath. I have problem. There's a Makenge. All I'm saying is that sometimes the renaming has got to be on the event that protects the heritage of that particular day, not the name.
Okay. It shouldn't be about a particular person.
It can be, but my point is more than being in a particular name of a person. Let's have more of more of Impi Sandwan.
Okay.
Then I'm happy. The ayiko into it ubani kulembi.
Yeah.
You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I can go further. But all I'm saying is that heritage should not, and that is where we undermine things. I'm hearing now there's a Kota Day, Kota Festival.
Yes, we've just had that one.
Yeah. I went to the coffee because I went. This is not the Kota I know. But I'm not saying you guys should not evolve.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I cook. I love my cooking. But how stampa? Kibata stampa.
So surprising.
You see, I usually watch a program in one of the stations, 7 Colors. I have a problem because it is 7 Colors. I don't remember how to get some array. Well, when I can beetroot and I yadi chutney.
Delay university.
Exactly. It's a master's, doctorate. No, but all I'm saying, guys, is that sometimes some of the things we do and say that are supposed to be within and promote our heritage, we undermine them, we dilute them, and we, if you ask for an Afrikaner uri, poikikos, how tla o fantani, motshwere a monate, o tla o nnela poikikos. And all I'm saying, you watch what is going to happen on the 24th. You watch. Yes, we'll go Brevoors. We'll go bring African meals, and you look at those African meals, you say, what is African about this meal? And then have a problem. All I'm saying is that we have diluted our heritage, mainly because we have misrepresented our history. We have lost out and even lost out on our own surnames. We have taken things that are, I was listening to someone talking about this thing, we are in this terrible GPV thing that is happening. And there was somebody, and I'm happy that it was a woman, explaining how Hushubedisa, Utwala, how in those days, those are traditions and cultures that nourishes our heritage in any way. How it has evolved to the violence it is today. Kana Kotsel, it was not as violent.
No.
But now, you guys I'm still an oven. We're not a microwave. And in your microwave nature, you burn our culture. You burn our heritage. And that is what is. There are a lot of beautiful things that we used to do as African people. That is not only our culture, but that protected and informed our heritage. And those things are undermined. But all I'm saying is that our heritage is not heritage without our history, without our values, without our culture, and it's not. Heritage is very rich, and that is why heritage should move away, or those spots that we regard as heritage, more than being named on names, let them be named on what made that history or that heritage.
So, in your own ways, is it wrong on how they are doing it now?
What happened that day? Because heritage came to a post 1994. After 1994, what is the history? And yeah, that day.
Yes.
That makes you to dress this way.
Yes.
Have you, maybe coming to do your research now, have you really asked what is the real meaning of that day? And what was that day called before? That day was the victory of the African people. Now, why do you call it Heritage Day? Why didn't you call it on what the victory was? You understand what I'm trying to say? And then you stay with the history. Then when you dressed like that, your material, for instance, is not South African, but Ghana and all the Africans. And I love Ghana. You know, the very first president that wanted to establish the United States of Africa was the president of Ghana. So if really like to get to heritage, I'll dress like that. But the point I'm making is that we must be careful. Here's another one. I wanted to make another point. I'm going to be controversial. I was going to say your cameraman cut, but I'll allow him to go on. But let me tell you, 7th, first week, first Saturday of July, iba those days, July handicap. Lona Durban July. Can I tell you, look at many of our African kids, you guys, when you go there. You are not betting horses there.
No.
You know, you go there, dress, drink, and drive.
Yes.
You just go for those three. Dress, drink, and drive. How much to ask what date in? Because that's Saturday. You guys. How bet you. Out of 10, you'll find one. But ask, so na apere. Ke mang ngwana o motle o apara gantle? Okay, whoever it is. Yeah, but but Mathe.
Oh, okay. But
then you go there, bonang, o batla bona bonang, o apere eng. Now, we have even Ronaldo as African people diluted that day and made it something else. And let me tell you, the people who are making money on that day as a heritage, maybe it should be that day that we call heritage. And then, buy some money ka betting. And it's not African people, but it is Indian people who are doing B&Bs and all this. It is whites who are going to get it in their hotels and everywhere. And they'll even make you buy from them and sleep in their in their hotels and drink in their hotels. So are we a nation that even made their heritage drunk? We're even drinking our own heritage. Give me one day that really we want to make a heritage day. That is our real heritage day. Where we can sit with our children and say, on this day, this happened, so that they can carry on with that history. I am sick of this misrepresentation and thing out dilute history.
Competition time. To win yourself a voucher worth 750 rands from House of Vault. Be the first one to comment on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. The question today is, what is Ukukulusa? Now the name was explained nicely by Dr. Seth Mazibuko during our conversation earlier on. What is Ukukulusa?
And then I wanted to say, look at heritage and history economically. Afrikaners had their own insurance, Sanlam. Afrikaners had their own banks, those days Nedbank, which became, today, we're still supporting those. Yes. Instead of African Bank, you go ABSA. And ABSA is the amalgamated banks of South Africa that are actually part of your apartheid. United Building Society. All those were amalgamated to form that. That's the heritage of the African people. Give me African one. African Bank is almost staggering to fall. Yeah. And we don't have that. Let me give you another part of the heritage I like. I come from the Black consciousness movement and background. Yes. We had our own organizations, SASO, which looked after university students, BPC, post-tertiary, SASM, before a high school, it was actually high school. But out of that, a brilliant man called Seth Mazibuko, who wanted the psychological liberation, which Bantu education wanted to do away with. You know what you said? We started what was called Black community programs. Can I tell you? Black community programs are the ones that gave birth even to the very concept of African Bank. Concept of black chain. Black chain, Dololo. And then you go. In that precinct, there's Funda Center. Yes. And thanks to the community of Diepkloof, they're resurrecting that Funda Center. Yeah. That is where the Smongolem Gomas used to teach singing, arts and culture, even the very heritage and history. It used to be done there, but that was destroyed. Sibulelo Mohajani, just across the road from there, built what was called Soweto Career Center. It is almost like your next toilet. And then you go, I can count on, the hospital. Lisedi Clinic was the first black clinic owned by black doctors. And those black doctors were doctors like Dr. Motlani, who actually started then Empilweni Mobile Clinic. And then Steve Biko in the Eastern Cape in Ginsberg, King Williamstown, started Zanempilo Hospital. All that heritage is gone. Huh? And I blame you as young people. Thanks. I told you, actually, I told the gentleman who was arranging this that now, as soon as if that was going to invite her because I'll kick the screen. Because this is exactly where I feel you as young people are missing it. All that is our history and heritage. You think, no,